At 14:49 and 47 seconds, a 7-inch drone with 2 dead motors, a bleeding battery, and a flickering camera slammed into a Russian ammunition truck on a broken bridge. The truck carried 8 152mm shells. When they cooked off, the blast lifted 20 tons of steel into the air and snapped the bridge deck like a toothpick. In under 20 seconds, one cheap drone erased weeks of Russian engineering and turned a key river crossing into twisted rebar and smoking rubble. The real story starts 19 minutes earlier, when a Ukrainian operator connected a battery, saw 16.8 volts on a screen, and knew he had just 7 minutes to outthink Russian radars, jammers, interceptor drones, and 3 soldiers with guns who knew exactly where to aim. This is eastern Ukraine, a river slicing through the battlefield. On most days, it is just water and current. Today, it is a wall. The Russians need this bridge. Every artillery shell, every field truck, every replacement vehicle for the front line has to cross somewhere. Destroy this crossing, and you don't just blow up steel, you steal time. At 14:30 hours, a Russian convoy is inbound. Trucks, armored cabs, and behind them, the prize, a 152mm howitzer and its ammunition. Without it, one Russian sector goes quiet. But there's a catch. Every time that drone sends video, it is shouting into the electromagnetic spectrum, "Here I am." And the Russians? They are listening. The system hunting them wasn't designed for drones at all. It was built to track artillery shells in flight, calculate the firing position, and call down counter-battery fire. But someone realized signals are signals. A drone's control link is just another radio wave. And radio waves can be hunted. One radar hears your transmission and draws a line. You are somewhere along this bearing. A second radar hears you from another angle, draws another line. Where those lines cross? That is where you are sitting with your laptop, and 3 minutes later, that spot turns into a grid of exploding steel. Statistics on this battlefield are simple and brutal. Stay in one place on one frequency for more than 5 minutes, and there's almost a 50-50 chance you never transmit again. So the Ukrainians adapt. Their answer is not thicker armor or bigger guns. It's smarter math. Their control link hops between 128 channels every single second. The signal never stays on one frequency long enough for a radar algorithm to get a clean fix. To the Russian system, the drone is a ghost flickering in and out of existence. But the Russians adapt too. At 14:34, a Russian Orlan 10 reconnaissance drone appears on Ukrainian thermal sensors, creeping in from the north. That drone's thermal camera can spot a human body from 2 kilometers away. It does not care about camouflage. Under its gaze, a soldier and a rock are completely different colors. The Ukrainian team now has a choice: keep their eyes on the target and risk being spotted from above, or disappear under thermal blankets and go blind. They choose to vanish. But before they do, they must hand off everything they've seen to the strike team 4 kilometers away. Standard procedure would be a direct radio call: coordinates, convoy speed, attack vector. The problem? That means both teams transmitting at the same time. Twice the radio footprint, twice the chance for Russian artillery to triangulate both positions. So they do something different. The shark drops a digital breadcrumb. One tiny encrypted packet on 433 MHz, a low-power frequency the Russians are not watching for drone control. Inside that 0.3-second whisper, GPS coordinates of the convoy, its speed, wind data, and the perfect angle of attack. In less than a third of a second, the entire mission transfers from one hidden team to another. And that other team? They're about to fly straight into an invisible storm.
Modern Russia has learned something ugly and useful about drone warfare. You don't have to shoot them down. You just have to cut the link. No link, no control. No control, and drones crash, drift, or turn around. One of the systems waiting ahead is called Repellent 1. Imagine a microwave oven with a door ripped off. Except instead of heating leftovers, it blasts hundreds of watts of radio noise into the air, flooding every common drone frequency within hundreds of meters. And it's not alone. Portable jammers sit in trenches every 200 meters. Behind them, an area denial system covers entire sections of the spectrum. 3 layers, different bands overlapping, an electronic black hole. At 14:45, the strike begins. The FPV operator arms his drone. 7-inch carbon fiber frame, 2 kilogram shaped charge, fresh battery reading 16.8 volts. On paper, 7 minutes of flight. The target, 4 minutes away. 4 minutes to the bridge, 3 minutes of margin. In this war, that is considered generous. The first 2 kilometers are smooth. The drone hugs the ground at 3 meters altitude, threading through tree lines and ruined buildings. The image is perfect, 1080p, 60 frames a second, almost cinematic. Every few seconds, the operator sees the numbers he lives by. Signal strength full, latency low, voltage slowly ticking down, still safely above 15 volts. Then, exactly 2 kilometers from the target, the picture breaks. Lines of static crawl across the screen. The smooth feed collapses to a slideshow. Somewhere ahead, Repellent 1 has just woken up. At that distance, the jamming field is still measuring tens of watts per square meter. The drone's own transmitter is pushing out milliwatts. It's like trying to whisper secrets in the middle of a hurricane. The operator flips to plan B. He drops the link down to 433 megahertz, a band that sits just outside the main jamming profiles. The picture comes back, but barely. Now the video looks like a flip phone from 2005. 10 frames a second, noticeable delay between control and response. But it's something. In this trade, something beats blind every time. At 1.5 kilometers, even the backup band starts to drown. The operator knows what that means. More jammers. Portable units in trenches. An area denial system in the rear. Every meter closer to the bridge tightens the noose. And then the worst possible thing happens. The video dies completely. No picture, just numbers. Compass bearing 073 degrees. Altitude 3 meters. Speed 45 kilometers per hour. Somewhere ahead, beyond the noise, the convoy crawls toward the bridge at walking pace. The operator switches to dead reckoning. Last known position plus time plus estimated speed equals where the truck should be now. It is flying through an electronic storm on nothing but math and gut. Then something close to a miracle. For exactly 1 frame, 1/60th of a second, the interference falters. The bridge, 800 meters ahead. The truck exactly where math said it should be, grinding over a bent steel beam. And then, static again. At around 3 kilometers from home, the video snaps in and out. A gap in the jamming. Maybe the jammer is rotating its antenna. Maybe the bridge's metal is causing interference. The reason doesn't matter. What the operator sees, does. A Russian intercepted drone, 20 meters up, already in a dive. Like a falcon spotting a pigeon. Both drones are almost identical. 7-inch frames, 4 motors, top speeds around 140 kilometers per hour. But physics is not fair. The interceptor is higher, lighter, and carrying no warhead. Height is energy. Less weight means sharper turns, faster climbs. In this sky, energy equals options. The closing speed is insane. 280 kilometers an hour. 78 meters every second. At 300 meter separation, both pilots have less than 4 seconds to decide whether they live or just become another black smudge on a debrief map.
The closing speed is insane. 280 kilometers an hour, 78 meters every second. At 300 meter separation, both pilots have less than 4 seconds to decide whether they live or just become another black smudge on a debrief map. The Ukrainian operator yanks hard left. The drone groans under 5 Gs. Left motor's throttled back, right motor screaming at full power. At this speed, the turn radius is nearly 90 meters. It's not enough to escape, but it is enough to make the interceptor misjudge. The Russian overshoots. His drone blasts past in front, forced to climb and circle for another pass. First attack survived, battery already down by a crucial chunk. But every violent move has a price. Hard turns drain power at triple the normal rate. The battery, once proudly at 16.8, is now below 15, time bleeding away. The Russian changes tactics. No more close chase. He climbs. Higher altitude means more potential energy. From up there, he can die faster than the Ukrainian motors can even spin. The Ukrainian drone cannot match the climb. Too heavy. 2 kilograms of shaped charge hanging off its frame, battery already stressed from fighting the jammers. So the operator does something that looks suicidal. He cuts the throttle completely. In 2 seconds, the drone falls from 15 meters to 3. With no power to the props, it stops being an aircraft and becomes a brick. The interceptor commits to its dive and screams through the space where the target should have been. Empty air. One drone lives, one has to climb back up for another try. With 0 RPM, the flight controller is helpless. Too much throttle too fast, and the sudden torque will flip the drone violently. Too little, and it just slams into the ground. The operator eases power back to 30%. The drone wobbles, shakes, then barely levels out at 3 meters above broken concrete. Now both machines are in the same energy state. Low, slow, and tired. It becomes a turning fight. 2 plastic and carbon fighters circling like boxers, looking for an opening. The weight difference finally shows. The interceptor, with no warhead, has a better power-to-weight ratio. It can pull 6 Gs, where the Ukrainian's flight controller screams at 4.5. Every time they reverse direction, the Russian gains a degree or two, slowly sliding into the blind spot behind the Ukrainian camera. The Ukrainian pilot is running out of options and out of battery. Voltage dives from 14.8 to 14.5 in just a few seconds of desperate maneuvering. At this rate, he might not even reach the bridge, even if he somehow survives the dogfight. There is one move left, something they train but rarely use because getting it wrong means instant death. A vertical reversal. The operator slams the throttle. The drone shoots straight up at 10 meters per second. Forward speed dies, traded for altitude. For a heartbeat, it almost hangs in the air. At the top of the climb, he cuts throttle again and slams full yaw. The drone spins 180 in under a second. Nose now pointing straight down, at the interceptor clawing up behind. The Russian commits to the collision. He is ready to sacrifice his drone to kill the threat. But at the last possible instant, the Ukrainian rolls hard right while maintaining the dive. The interceptor slices through the space where it expected a head-on kill and finds nothing. By the time the Russian can pull out, reverse, and look for his target, the Ukrainian drone is already back at 5 meters altitude, racing toward the bridge with everything it has left. The entire engagement lasts 18 seconds. In those 18 seconds, the Ukrainian drone spends nearly a third of its battery just staying alive. If he had now been fighting the drone on the underside of the bridge, that same quarter of hour would have cost less than 1 amp and half of a volt.